Okay, so now that you've got your reflectors off, you can now unbox your new LED modified reflectors. Go ahead and get the driver's side, untwine the wire. You'll notice that on this side the ground wire is longer than the positive side. So basically what we're going to try to do here is fish the wire through this square hole and try to come out the round hole that's behind this on the other side. So let's give it a shot. Oops. Okay, I just stick the reflector underneath my arm and hold it. Okay, so basically get some black tape, little piece, comes in the kit. Can I just tape this little plug thing to the wire, to the longer wire, that way when you pull it through you can just fish that through with it, and you don't have to wrap it too tight, that way you can get it off easy. Anyway, so the ground wires should be 2. Twine those together so they stay together. And let's try to fish this through. I don't know if you can see that, but basically reach for underneath. See my finger there? Try to fish to there. And then if you can pull that sucker through, kind of a pain, but once you do, fish through your plug. Once your plug goes through, then you can install your reflector. Alright, once you get your wire fished through, let's check out the anatomy of the rear of the reflector. So basically you got two bolts that you got to get through those 2 holes. And you got these little, I guess, I don't know, pins that also go through holes. Then you have this clip here that goes through a hole as well. Interesting here is these have like these little rubber tabs that kind of just sit to the very edge of the square holes. It kind of leverages with the clips on the side here. Basically what we're trying to do is we're fishing through this hole up here, but we want to try to have the wires go behind this rubber nubs, I guess, spot. So on this side there's actually a space for the wire to go through, so that's your objective. Oops, I'm putting this on, if I can do it. I'll try to show you. So if you can wiggle it some, just kind of hear it or feel it fall into place usually. It's kind of hard to do actually. There you go. Well, you'll know once it falls down. So and then these clips on the side, you got to use the screwdriver on. Let me grab one. Okay, flathead screwdriver. Let me put these tabs back on. Try not to chip the paint, or I've already done it, so whatever, probably. Okay, so once you get these clips on, kind of pain, you got to use the flathead screwdriver, and you pry out, and they eventually go over this lip. So once you get those over the lip, make sure this thing is as flat as possible. Push down. I like to actually tighten this side, the nut on this side first, then this one. Just make sure they're nice and snug. 10mm deep socket. Okay, now that you have your reflectors installed and your wires are pulled through these holes here, you'll notice the plugs are the positives. Here, try to separate your wires, positive and negatives. Positive wires will have the plug, negatives will be bare. Alright, so you get these basically to plug into your black box. You want to strategically wrap, around the wire, and then plug these in. Same thing here. Just wrap a little bit here, and then basically we try to tighten it up as we go back into the hole. So I'll show you how I did that. Alright, I'm going to attempt to do this. So basically I'll take the positive here and I'll piggyback on this wiring harness that's here. Loop around a couple times, and then on this side, because it's the driver's side, you want the green wire out of the black box, and you can't really screw that up. You can't do this the other way because the plugs are opposite. So go ahead and plug that in. There you go. And then the kit comes with a bunch of these zip ties, so if you want to make it pretty, you can. I'll probably pretty it up a little bit. So the other side, get the positive. Let's see, I'll go around here. Let's run it again. And I'll plug her in. There we go, it's plugged in. Alright, so there you have it. That's how I want to run it. Now next we'll do the ground wire. Alright, so in your kit there's a ground wire. It's about, I don't know, 8 to 10 inches long. One end of it will be separated so you can easily expose the copper wire. So just go ahead and separate that. And then grab the ground wires from both sides. Basically get them all bunched together along with the ground wire that you're adding. Grab one of these wire nuts. Basically they're the small type, real small ones. Twist these together, all the ground wires together, and then use the wire nut. So basically you connect them all. Keep twisting and twisting and twisting until they're all connected like that. You have this extra lead. We're basically going to use that to ground to this plug up here, and that's what comes next. Okay, so the trunk latch basically has this plug powering everything. So if you push this little clip right here down and then pull the plug out, you can unravel this and we'll expose this black wire here that we're going to try to use a scotch lock to tap into. Okay, so once you get the plug out, you'll notice there's not really a whole lot of room right here to work with. So basically hold the wires in one hand like this pretty tight, and you don't want to try to pull this sheath back some so we can expose some more of this wire so we can try to tap into it easier. Let me go ahead and give that a shot. Alright, so you can see I pulled the sheath back some on exposing the wires. Okay, the two wires that are away we don't want to mess with. We're basically tapping into this black ground wire right here with basically one of these, what do you call it, a scotch lock. These come in the kit. They probably have like 5 or 6 of these or whatever. So basically how these work is one hole is, you can see all the way through, while the other hole is actually blocked a little bit. So the one that goes all the way through is the pass-through wire, which is what the black wire is going to be once we get this in there. And then the other black wire is the lead that we have, will be on the other side, and then we'll crimp those together using some pliers. So we'll do that now. Well, I'm not sure if you can see this, but usually I like to separate the scotch lock, make the gap a little wider before I try to slip this over. And then you want the block side to be closer to the plug. That way you insert your, your other lead on the back side, like basically orienting the same way as the plug wires would be. Let's see if I get this sucker in there. Never easy with these things. You separate this. The ones in your kit are probably easier than this one. You separate it and then try to stick it on. Alright. There you go. You can tell it's on the right side, on the correct side. It slides on the up and down pretty easily. And you take your lead wire and you stick it in the other hole. Then you just take some regular pliers and you squeeze this little metal tab. Okay, so you can see that got it on the black, and I got my lead in there. You really want to make sure that those wires are in there straight, because you only get one shot at this. So once you get those pliers and clamp down on this, you know, those wires are set, so you got to make sure the lead's straight and in there right. And this is piggybacking. See, look, it fell out just right. So make sure it's lined up just right before you use your pliers and squeeze this metal thing. This basically you want to squeeze like this thing down and smash it down, which I'm going to do right now, and I'll show you the aftermath. Okay, so basically just get some regular pliers. You just smash it like that. Okay, so basically you want to get your pliers, if I can even do this, and squeeze like that. You squeeze down it's real tight, and you'll feel it clamp down on those wires. You got to make sure these two wires are in there straight. Can't emphasize that enough. Get one shot at this usually. Okay, a little tip that I like to give when you use these scotch locks. The lead ground wire that we're hooking up, basically to get to the end of the scotch lock, it probably has to go about that far. So I like to mark about with the finger, like that's about how far down it needs to go. So when you stick it in the hole, you'll know about, get in there, there we go, about how far down it needs to go for you to know that it's bottomed out. And make sure it's straight. You use some pliers and clamp down on that bad boy real hard, and then you know you did it enough, because then the cover snaps all over. I'll show that too. Okay, I clamped down on that thing pretty hard. Now you can see how flush that thing is. Once you get that done, you push this cover over until it snaps. Let's get these other wires out of the way though. Alright, so now let's try to put this cover over. And you know if it's all the way on when it snaps. So there you go, the lead's on. The ground lead anyway. Now that that's done, go ahead and plug this back in. See if you can see this. Alright. So you'll notice when I plug that in, the bolt kind of like beeps and stuff. When you unplug that, the bolt actually tries to lock itself because it's smart. Thinks someone's trying to break in or something, but just hit the unlock on your key fob, and that prevents the alarm from going off or whatever. And there you go. That's the ground lead hooked up. So next we want to hook up the positives to each side, and you're pretty much done as far as the wiring is concerned. Alright, so now basically all you're trying to do now is get up the wires to be nice and pretty. So you know, the kit comes with a bunch of these zip ties. I think yours are probably going to be black, but I use white to kind of emphasize where they're going to put them, I guess. I put some here earlier, which I should have waited, but basically I'm going to put some more. So I'm probably going to put one right here, get the lead wire that we have and put this here, and then, you know, the same thing probably over here. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll tuck the excess into the holes, and I'll show you the aftermath. Okay, so you can see I put a bunch of these zip ties all over the place. Put one here, 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 and then, you know, I made it pretty so that our lead to our ground goes right to the plug here, nice and pretty. One here, 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 and here. So we're basically going to use packing tape that's in the kit to basically tape this along here. So I'll show you that next. Okay, so in your kit comes with some Scotch heavy duty shipping packing tape. Basically you'll use this stuff to repack your old reflectors and send them back to me, and also to install your reflectors. So get like a long piece, probably about this long, and then a few 3 or 4 small pieces. So basically you're trying to tuck this wire up in here and then use some packing tape to kind of cover this gap. Here's a better look at where that packing tape is. So you basically seal it and tuck the wires up in here. That's how that goes in the center. Okay, so for the rest of the wire, you basically want to follow this body line right here. Kind of want to go a little bit above it. So kind of tape it there. Another piece here. Stay away from the holes. There you go. Looks like we're almost done. All we got to do is hook up the leads, positive leads on each side, and then we can try them out. Okay, back to the passenger side cargo area. Took off the access cover already. So there's the red lead wire that you fished down there at the very beginning. So if we go in here, you'll notice behind this little cover, it's basically a plug we want to unplug. That's what we want to tap into, one of those wires. You can see I've already done it with that black wire there, but I wanted to show you where that's at. So go ahead and take off that cover. You can see there's a slit right there in it, so that's where the harness goes through that slit, and you can take that cover off. So go ahead and do that. It's not too hard. It's like made out of foam or whatever, so it should slip right out. Okay, let's see if we can go back in there and see what it looks like without that cover. Basically no cover. You see where the plug came from. Alright. Okay, so here's the plug. On the very top in the middle there's this tab that you gotta push down. Oops. You gotta push down this tab in the middle to unplug it. It's basically in there like this. Plugged in, and you have to push down this tab and then unplug it. So keep that in mind that it's right in the middle. Alright, so when you unplug it, the wire we want to tap into is actually the green one all the way to the side. So same concept. You want to pull the sheath back again, make enough room for the scotch lock, and then you tap into that green wire with your red wire that's hanging here. And once you do that, you plug this back in, And you put your gasket or whatever, this cover thing back in there. You're gonna have fun with that. And you should be all done on that side. Okay, so on the driver's side, you should have 2 wires, remember? So we're doing the same thing on this side. We just want to separate these 2 wires right here, maybe enough, maybe 4 or 5 inches up. So, or maybe more than that, although as far up as you want. Because you're going to separate these 2 wires and use 2 different scotch locks to tap into 2 separate wires. So, same kind of thing, take that cover off, unplug it, and then yeah, tap into the 2 wires, and we'll do that next. Okay, so on this side, you're basically going to be using 2 scotch locks. This is the driver's side, because you need to tap into the white wire, the thick white wire on the plug, which is your running lights, and then the driver's side brake lamp is the yellow wire. So it's white to white, and then your green to yellow. So basically, the wires are the ones all the way to the side, just like on the other side, but you're tapping into both on one side. Okay, so once you get those plugs plugged in on both sides, it's time to test it out. So basically, all you got to do is hit the unlock on your key fob. And there you go, they work. How cool is that? Congratulations, you've installed the rear reflector LED mod. Thank you so much for buying my kit. It's or just watching anyway. It's been a great experience. Hope you enjoy these bad boys as much as I do. They are sweet. Definitely get a lot of heads turning, especially from both owners that don't have them. Anyway, take care, guys. I enjoyed making these videos for everyone. Alright, so now you get to put everything back together, and once you do, you can close the hatch and hit the key fob and check it out. Oh wow, is that cool or what? Man, worth every penny, I'm sure. Sweet. Love it. Take care, everyone.